don't change. Ever since we was on, I dreamed it all. Ever since I was young, they said I won't be nothing. Now they always say congratulations.
Right guys, welcome to a breakdown of a few currency pairs that we are looking at for this week. We will start with the most asked about one, as always, is Euro USD. So we will start with the weekly time frame, and on here we've got our support and resistance lines already in the purple. And as you can see, these bottom areas have been rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times on Euro USD now on the weekly. The candle wicks are very big rejections, and we've had quite big reactions from here every single time. We are currently sitting in and around that area as we speak, and we are having a slightly bullish day, but there's just not a lot of movement today. It is Tuesday the 7th, and we haven't got a lot of news impact either, so I wouldn't expect any gigantic moves today. Probably tomorrow we will see a little bit more movement, but we'll just show you what we're looking at for potential setups. Move into the daily time frame, and we have a little bit more of a target region, and that is this yellow box here. As you can see, wicked up into that area on the daily, and it is currently wicked up into that area on today's candle and rejecting slightly. The reason we're looking at that area is because it's been a rejection area before. It's quite a high sell region, but obviously we would only be looking at the previous support and resistance areas as a target just for now, because we know how strong those levels are. So anywhere down towards 1.5, 1.15390, there or thereabouts. It's slightly ranging at the moment, Euro USD. It's going up again towards 1.175 and then just dropping back down. It's not showing any great directional bias. So we'll zoom in to the 4 hour. It's a little bit more interesting. You can see a little bit more clearly why that yellow region is what we are looking at. As you can see, the multiple rejections from that area. It's currently rejecting quite hard from that area as we speak. It is currently 3:30 UK time, and it's rejecting that area quite heavily. When we would look to enter will be when it breaks that bottom area there. We'll just put a highlighted region on again, because there is a slight range just there. You can see we've had rejections of that area quite a few times. If we get a clean break, if probably this 4 hour candle, to be honest, this 4 hour candle has got 2 hours and 30 minutes left to go. If we get a clean break and close below that area, we'll be looking to sell down towards 1.15350, and then we'll just see how it reacts from there. If we start seeing rejections again, as expected, we will just close, or the momentum could carry us quite a lot lower. Overall bias for this pair, to be totally honest, would be a sell or a swing to the downside. The news announcements recently have favoured a big change in direction for Euro USD. We just need to see it play out. We might have to be a little bit patient, but if it does break this level and we head all the way back down towards 1.14, that is a gigantic move, which could take a few days to a few weeks, but the potential gains are well over 120 pips, and then we could just keep falling all the way back down towards 1.12. To be honest, that's where we see the pair heading longer term, down the bottom there, 1.12050. I know that is quite far away and quite optimistic, but that is our favour in terms of direction for Euro USD. So we will see how that plays out. We will look at also one of the requested pairs from the members is USD JPY, and we will start on the daily chart. This black trend line is very, very strong. It has been touched and rejected quite a few times, and you can see from the high highs and the higher low swings that USD JPY on the daily time frame is in a buy mode. but obviously this trend line here could be quite important to determine whether that stays. So we would look for a rejection of this trend line. It's currently sitting just below. You'll be able to see it a bit clear when we zoom in. But yeah, this trend line has been respected and so strong over the last few days and weeks that it will take some very, very strong momentum to break. If we can even get a fib on here from our swing points. Start from the bottom there as you go from the bottom to the top, as everyone knows by now. And where does that take us? We are currently sat in between the 61.8 and the 786. Let's highlight that on. So it is a little bit past our preferred region. We prefer to enter in the 50 to 61.8 region. So ideally, we would be looking at a buy if the price breaks back into that region and respects the trend line. We'll see what it looks like on a smaller time frame. We'll go into the 4 hour. Again, this black trend line is the same one. And as you can see, it has broke ever so slightly on the 4 hour. And it is currently retesting. Current price 111.230. We have a smaller trend line here on the 4 hour, which is also being respected to the downside. You can extend that out a little. And that coincides with our break of the daily trend line. So if we get a retest back into that area and then reject the trend line, that will be quite a big sign to push us back to the downside. If we get rid of the daily fib, this is where the fibs, I mean, they're always handy and they always come in very important, but this is where sometimes they can get a little bit confusing for members, because on the daily chart it was quite clearly a buy on the daily fib chart, but here we've got a significant low swing point, so we can get the fib going the opposite direction. This is the 4 hour chart. Let's go from the top highs into the lows. And right there, oh, didn't quite go on. Sometimes you can just see by eye how close the fib's going to be. And in this case, literally ended up perfect into our desired region. As we said before, in between the 50 and the 61.8. So a sell from that area would have been a perfect entry, and it's just been trickling down ever since, creating kind of discrete, if nothing else, lower lows and lower highs. So in between the daily momentum, which is clearly a buy, we have now got a 4 hour time frame, which is quite clearly a sell. So obviously that is where the confusion can come in, and that is why this pair is a little bit indecisive just at the moment. Because this daily trend line is so strong and has been rejected and respected every single time, if it does then continue to break to the downside, that would change the momentum of this trade as a whole, and we'll be looking at a very, very big and long sell all the way back down towards 1.9. But again, this could just be a little fake out, this area here. If this area breaks back in towards 111.450 to 111.600, and then pushes to the upside, that would just continue the daily momentum back to the upside, and we'll be looking at creating new highs past that area. So you can save that area. We'll say 113.163. We'll be looking to create a new high if we continue to push higher past the trend line, and we call that a fake out. If we then reject this area again, as we are currently doing, and push down, we'll be heading back towards 109. So there's no great direction on this jumping out for now. We've got contrasting directions on the smaller and the higher time frames, so we're just going to kind of have some kind of entry on USD JPY already around this area, around the 110 area. Again, we just seen there, we'll zoom in just a touch. We zoom in just to see that it rejected our support area pretty much perfectly. So this is an area we would look to have a break of before entering the sell. I'm just going to sit on our hands for now and just see how this one plays out. So that's USD, JPY all covered. The final pair we will look at is USD CAD. And it looks like we're having a slight bit of movement because of some news. It's quite low impact news just being released and haven't really moved a great deal. Again, all the charts are always set up pretty much the same. We've got the purple lines, which are support and resistance levels. And the yellow areas are just important regions that we feel are either going to be respected or rejected from. I'll get rid of that trend line for now. So where are we heading on USD CAD? Again, it doesn't show a clear direction as of yet on the daily time frame. We have quite a strong trend line going to the upside. And as you can see, it's creating higher highs, higher lows, higher highs here and higher lows. So what we'll do always is try and get a fib region on. This is where we will start. You want to go from the lows to the highs because it's in a buy or an upward trend. So we'll go from the lows, always touching the wick, to the highs, again as close to the top of the wick as you can get. And lo and behold, we are into our preferred fib region. So from here, in between the 0.5 and 61.8, and it looks to be rejecting from this trend line, what we would expect or hope for is a push to the upside. All of our analysis points to that. So what we would do is just look for extra confluences or extra reasons to get into that trade. So we then move into a smaller time frame. We'll go with 4 hour on this occasion and see if we can just implement some of the other tools that we have to give us an extra reason to enter this trade. All of our analysis, like we said, points to a buy. So we'll just see if we can get 1 or 2 extra confirmations of that. What we would do first is look for a possible trend line. There's a few slight opportunities, but they aren't going to be too clean. So we'll try and get one. So make sure we touch the wicks, going down. The price is quite far away from that region, so I'll leave that one on just so you guys can see it. But the price is quite far away from that, so it's not really in playing. It's not really a valid trend line as of yet, but it might come into play in the next few days. So we'll leave that one on. If you go into the smaller time frames, what have we got? We'll go into the 2 hour. This is where we like to execute most of our trades from, is the 2 hour time frame. So yeah, it's looking quite a bit more clear already. So what we'll do is try and get another trend line on there. So we've got 3, we've got 1 to obviously to start, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6 good touches of the trend line there. And as we speak, we are currently breaking out. We've already had a little bit of a fake out there. Again, that just rejected our yellow support region, so we didn't react from there. We're currently having a breakout of this trend line as we speak. Like I said before, that is mainly due to the little bit of news that just came out. So ideally, we would like a push towards our yellow support region, which if you want to save it is 1.30300, there or thereabouts. Ideally, we would like either a push to that region, another rejection like these have here. These rejection wicks are, if you want to trade for quite a small amount of pips, every time this rejects this area, you can just sell down. But ideally, we would like a break of this area to the upside. Ideally, we would like a break and retest of the yellow area. For going quite a lot higher. And we would aim for up towards 1.31500. That's a good psychological level for this pair, USD CAD. So yeah, that's, I mean, it's a setup that's not quite there yet. It just has a bit of potential, and we've just basically shown you what can play out for the buy and the sell on this particular trade. But personally, we prefer a break, retest of this area, and a push to the upside. We've rejected it quite a few times. Momentum is quite strong due to the current news, and hopefully the momentum will just take us higher. So that will do for now, guys. Feel free to drop any comments to what you think about this breakdown video, and we will be back again next week covering 2 or 3 more currency pairs.